What's up? What's up to another episode of Music Tips and Reviews with JG. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Haven't had a conversation like this in a while on this channel. Good to come back to a certain format that I usually have, or I used to have a lot on this channel. I do a lot of reviews on this channel. I do a lot of reactions. But I regret not taking a lot of time to do more tips, and that's part of my channel, music tips. And so came a long ways, as far as music is concerned. Most of my biggest songs I've been a part of, I've been more on the songwriting side, and hopefully later on I'll be more on the production side later on in my career. But a lot of all of my songs that has been to the iTunes charts has been songwriting credits. But I have had success on the production side, songs that I've had on the radio, especially the gospel side. Being on the radio has been a true tremendous blessing in my life. But the reason I had this wanted to do this video is I feel like, even though a lot of producers, especially hip-hop producers, use FL Studio or FruityLoops, if you want to call it. If you was around from the beginning of when FruityLoops first came out, a lot of them call it FruityLoops. But now it has kind of gotten to FL Studio. Everybody say FL Studio. But when I started FL Studio, even to now, I feel like FL Studio doesn't get the respect it deserves. Starting from the late 90s, early 2000s, and to now, it's been out for about 27 years, FL Studio. And I just want to let y'all know that's where I started. I started with FL Studio. My history of DAWs, digital audio workstations. When I first started, I didn't really know what, I didn't know producer existed. I didn't know that this job you can create music existed. And when I first discovered that you can record your piano part, and then you can record your own drum part, I was blown away. The first time I did that, I used to, I'm a church boy, played drums in church, but at the beginning of church services, I used to sneak up. We used to have this Yamaha keyboard called a Clavinova at church. And so what I'll do, I'll go up there, because I didn't know you can do that on the Clavinova. I'll do a little, bar beat on there, make a beat up there, do my drums and do the piano. I do a little quick thing, before church start, before Sunday school start. And I was blown away that you can do all these things on the computer, on a keyboard. And so that's where it all started. And I think the awakening into wanting to be a producer is when I saw, and I always talk about on this channel, watching Kanye West on the Diary of Kanye West on MTV, really awakened, my purpose. I feel my purpose, being a producer, music producer. And so I really wanted to do it. I saw this drum machine. I didn't really know what to get, but I saw this old, cause I was like, I know my parents ain't gonna buy me like an MPC or anything like that. So I saw an old drum machine from the 90s. And I know a lot of you producer hardware, heads know about the Ellis's SR16. And so they bought me a small machine. I used to make drum patterns up there. And then I had a Casio, Casio keyboard. and I used to they used to have sample songs up there, and so I used to play the beat with the sample song on the keyboard that's already in the keyboard. And so that's how I used to discover, putting mixes together with songs. And so that's how I really started doing music. And then once, I found out they had this program on the PS2. At first it was the MTV generator, but I never used that. And so since I started making beats around the PS2 time, they had this program called Music Maker. And I used to make beats up there, and then I recorded to a cassette. I know I'm telling my age, but I used to record it to a cassette, and I used to take it to school, have my friends listen to my beats. And so around this time, met this guy named, I believe his name was David. I hope I ain't get his name wrong, but his name was David, and he used to bring beats to school, and I was a big Kanye West fan. And so this guy I used to go to high school with, he used to sample just like Kanye. And I was like, wow, his beats is incredible. He used to have people singing and rapping over his beats. And I was like, even to this day, I was blown away. I'm still blown away, by his production at a young age. We was all young, 14, 15. And so, we was all asking, me and my friends, we was all into music. We asked him what program he used, and he said FL Studio. And I was blown away, and I was like, I gotta ask my parents, can they get me FL Studio for Christmas, and I asked them, and FL Studio was so reasonable. It's about $100 for the basic version. And so my parents, a lot of my other friends, they got the crack version. The crack version was out, but I got the CD. I got the CD. And so when I first started, FL Studio was FL Studio 6. FL Studio 6 is where I started. My parents bought me FL Studio 6, I believe from Guitar Center, and never been the same since. I remember my first beat sounded like a Marion touch. And I used piano roll, put my my little thing, piano roll, and make the beat, make the beat on FL Studio. And so that's where I started. And the reason I want to go through that is because, a lot of people don't give FL Studio respect. They made it, a reasonable price for people who really had that dream to start production. Then I found out, a lot of songs that I heard on the radio at that time was produced in FL Studio. The producer that really just caught my ear was Ninth Wonder. He said he did a lot of, like the Little Brother album, the Black album, Threat. He did that song on FL Studio, and my mind was blown away because this program that, people didn't respect, people still made hits on those on FL Studio. They made hits on FL Studio. And I remember the story that Ninth Wonder said when he was producing Destiny's Child, the song Girl, he was working on a beat in the studio. Beyonce father came in the studio and said, oh, this is going to be a hit. This beat, he just hearing the beat, the music. And Beyonce told him he made it on this program, and it was FL Studio. And so, I feel like we should just, I feel like it's the industry standard. It's starting to be the industry standard, especially in hip hop, as far as producing, as the DAW. And I think a lot of I wouldn't say the old heads, but the more experienced people that has had hits in the industry, I feel like they still hate on it. They still they don't give producers that started on that credit. I feel like they feel like, oh, you have to learn the hardware. But technology is here, and that's where people started like me. I never used an MPC, still to this day, and I never felt like I needed to learn it, and I've made great songs. I've made hundreds of jingles in a DAW. I caught the Reason bug. Once I got on Reason, I never turned back, and so I do want to go back to FL Studio, but I just caught that Reason. Reason got me in the chokehold, and I never turned back from Reason. But whatever DAW you're comfortable in, stick to it. Don't let nobody deter you from the thing that has made you some success and what you're comfortable with. It depends on your workflow. The reason I got into Reason from FL Studio is because I'm a musician, and I felt like Reason was more musician friendly to me. Even though FL Studio was easy to use, I felt like the workflow in Reason was so much more smoother for me. Being a musician, I think musicians know more of the sounds they want to hear as far as instruments, like piano and Rhodes and different keyboards and synth sounds. And I felt like Reason had more of that quality sound, especially the factory sounds, because when I first started producing, I didn't have the money. I was in college. College kids, we don't have a lot of money, and so the sounds that was in Reason was sounding good to me. And I heard my friends, shout out to my bro Mikhail, he really taught me how to structure my tracks, because when I went from FruityLoops, FL Studio to Reason, I didn't really know how to arrange my music. I didn't know how to arrange. I was just making patterns, but he really showed me how to arrange my music, once I started producing with him. And so, yeah, that's how I started FL Studio. I just wanted to do this to give homage to FL Studio. A lot of great, especially producers from my side of town, VA, Lex Luger. I feel like one of the pioneers, and I got to talk to him one day. I saw him around my way, and introduced myself. Cool guy, Lex Luger. I feel like he's one of the pioneers of trap, the trap sound. So that's how I feel, and he's from my side of town. And so, I just want to do this video because a lot of people, I feel, even though a lot of top producers these days, Camper, DJ Camper, still use FL Studio. Like I said, Ninth Wonder, so many. I'm trying to think of the other ones that use it. So many people do use FL Studio these days, just killing it, And so again, appreciate y'all for watching. It's one producer that comes to my mind, but I can't think of his name right now. But yeah. So I think it's time to put respect on FL Studio name. A lot of people still want to discredit it, but that's where it started. A lot of people think they're, I've heard trashy beats on MPCs, and I've heard trashy beats on FL Studio. It's all in a matter of how you use it and how much skill set that you have as far as producing, the sound quality. And so again, appreciate y'all for watching. Please subscribe to this channel. Hopefully have more talks like this on this channel. But again, appreciate y'all for tuning in. And I didn't know I had this tangled up the whole time. But it's all good. It's all good as long as y'all got the message. But again, appreciate y'all for watching. Please subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, so you'll be updated on all my latest content. And until next time, all right, peace.